Russia used artificial intelligence to create more fakes than any other country in the world to interfere in the November 2024 US presidential election, said one of the employees at the Office of the Director of National Intelligence on condition of anonymity. According to him, Moscow's attacks are focused on the campaign headquarters of current US Vice President Kamala Harris.
Russia is a much more sophisticated actor and has a better understanding of how US elections work and appropriate targets. Asked how Russia was disseminating AI content, the official pointed to a July 9th Justice Department announcement of the disruption of an alleged Moscow-backed operation that used AI-enhanced social media accounts to spread pro-Kremlin messages in the US and elsewhere. From Reuters material.
Meanwhile, the campaign headquarters of Harris' opponent, Donald Trump, was attacked by another rogue state, Iran. This was announced in the summer by the Office of the Director of National Intelligence, the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, and the U.S. Federal Bureau of Investigation. According to data published by Politico, Iranian hackers sent stolen information to the campaign headquarters of incumbent President Joe Biden. However, as the article claims, the emails were considered malicious and the campaign staff did not respond to them.
In the 2024 election, Iran's alleged embrace of a similar hack-and-leak playbook that Russia used in 2016 has U.S. officials on heightened alert. In June, a group of Iranian government-linked hackers successfully targeted the Trump campaign, stole internal campaign documents and shared them with news organizations. The hackers breached the email account of longtime Trump ally Roger Stone to target campaign staff, from the material on the CNN website.
China is also using artificial intelligence technologies to influence foreign policy. This is reported by Reuters, citing statements by employees of the U.S. Office of the Director of National Intelligence. However, Washington has no direct evidence of Beijing's attempts to interfere in the U.S. presidential election.
Every time I meet with Chinese officials, I raise the issue of election interference and laying down a clear marker that it's unacceptable for any nation to interfere in the U.S. election, and this trip was no different in that regard. I made that point once again.
In response to information attacks, the West continues to fight Kremlin propaganda. Most recently in June, the United States and Poland jointly opened an international center in Warsaw to counter Russian disinformation. In early September, the U.S. Treasury Department imposed new sanctions on both employees of official Kremlin media and on governmental organizations that spread fakes and which roots go back to Moscow. The sanctions affected up to 10 employees of Russia Today and the autonomous non-profit organization Dialogue.
Russia routinely uses its intelligence services, government-directed proxies, and covert influence tools in these efforts. The Kremlin has increasingly adapted its efforts to hide its involvement by developing a vast ecosystem of Russian proxy websites, fake online personas, and front organizations that give the false appearance of being independent news sources unconnected to the Russian state. From a statement on the U.S. Treasury Department website.
Washington has repeatedly called on Moscow to stop interfering in the presidential elections. In addition, White House communications advisor John Kirby criticized Putin's public statements about supporting one of the candidates. Reported by Diana Kolesnik, Larissa Petruk, UATV News.